Welcome to Kansas Ag Report with your host, Brian Hallman.
Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Brian Hallman, and here's our lineup for today's show. In Ag News, we'll take a look at local and national headlines affecting Kansas farmers. In our Ag Feature, we talk with Mike Scherer with Agri Solutions about preventive planting and crop insurance. And inside Kansas Ag, Kansas Soybean talks to us about DuPont's Young Leader program, and Farm Bureau gives us important information about harvest safety. And in news you need to know, we get our weekly update from the Kansas Livestock Association. We'll look back at last week's market activity with the guys from Paragon, and we'll let you know about important events coming up around the state of Kansas. Glad you could join us.
Closed captioning brought to you by
The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. KansasSoybeans.org.
Ag Risk Solutions. Experience, knowledge, integrity. Your crop insurance solution, Ag Risk Solutions. Kansas Weed Commission. Leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for weeds. Online at kswheat.com. Kansas Livestock Association. Supporting our members' business interests to meet consumers' demands. KLA.org.
Here's our national headlines for this week in Ag News. The value of U.S. agricultural exports is forecasted at $124.5 billion for 2016, down $15.2 billion from 2015, and the second consecutive decline. The declining export values over the past few years reflects a combination of lower commodity prices, a relatively weak global economy, and a strong U.S. dollar. The value of imports, on the other hand, continue to grow and is forecasted to reach a record $114.8 billion this year, up $800 million from 2015. The North American Meat Institute says the economic output of the meat and poultry industry has surpassed $1 trillion, which is almost 6% of the U.S. gross domestic product, and the industry is responsible for 5.4 million jobs. President and CEO Barry Carpenter says, "We are proud that we provide millions of quality jobs in every state and in every sector of the U.S. economy." A state-by-state breakdown of the industry's economic impact is available at meatfuelsamerica.com. The USDA has lowered its outlook for old and new crop U.S. corn and soybean ending stocks after widespread crop damage in South America. For corn, the 2015-16 U.S. ending stocks are forecasted at 1.7 billion bushels compared to 1.8 billion in May. Soybeans 15-16 ending stocks are at 370 million bushels compared to 400 million a month ago. Wheat's 2015-16 U.S. ending stocks are forecasted at 980 million bushels, up 2 million on the month. And in local news, based on June 1st conditions, Kansas' 2016 winter wheat crop is forecasted at 394 million bushels, up 22% from last year's crop, according to USDA's NASS. Average yield is forecasted at 48 bushels per acre, up 11 bushels from last year. Acres to be harvested for grain is estimated at 8.2 million acres, down 500,000 acres from last year. This would be 96% of the planted acres, above last year's 95% harvested. For the first time since April 2011, all Kansas counties are drought-free following long-awaited rains. These improved conditions led Tracy Streeter, director of the Kansas Water Office and chair of the governor's drought response team, to request the drought-free declaration for all Kansas counties, Executive Order 1602 from Governor Brownback. The executive order will rescind drought from all counties and remain in effect until rescinded by a new executive order. It's that time of year again for the Farm Service Agency's 2016 County Committee elections to begin. All eligible farmers and ranchers with a strong emphasis on women, minorities, and beginning farmers are encouraged to get involved by making a nomination and voting in this year's county committee elections. The nomination period runs through August 1st. You can nominate yourself or anyone of legal voting age who participates or cooperates in an FSA program. Nomination forms and information can be found at fsa.usda.gov/elections. Forms must be postmarked by August 1st. Up next in our Ag Future, we talk with Mike Scherer from Agri Solutions about preventing planting and crop insurance. You're watching Kansas Ag Report. Please stay tuned.
This segment brought to you by
Kansas Livestock Association, supporting our members' business interests to meet consumers' demands. KLA.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com.
Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. Grassandgrain.com.
Spring is here, and Premier Farm and Home can help you stop crabgrass before it starts. With a 6-month residual, Premier has what you need to protect your lawn all season long. Premier Farm and Home, 900 Southwest University Boulevard, or find them on the web at heycow.com.
Biodiesel made from sustainable resources is diversifying our fuel supply. This year, biodiesel will displace over 1 billion gallons of fossil fuel nationwide. It's making our economy stronger and our communities healthier. It's working here and across America. Get biodiesel going in your community. Visit americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
You need a partner that you can count on to be there for your business. Providing a depth of understanding to risk management issues so you don't have to. A knowledgeable support team located in your area, delivering products and services to make you more successful.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
Imagine having someone help you pick the best corn hybrids for every field on your farm. Your Oldie representative can combine your data with his data to offer a field-by-field prescription. Contact Oldie Seed today at 877-692-4555.
Spring is sprung, and Premier Farm and Home has what you need to keep your yard crabgrass free throughout the season. With a complete line of pre-emergents, you can stop crabgrass before it starts. Premier Farm and Home, 900 Southwest University Boulevard, or find them on the web at heycow.com.
Thanks for staying with us this morning. We're at Agri Solutions over in Atchison. We're joined by Mike. It's good to see you, Mike.
Great to be here, Brian.
Thank you. Most farmers, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. We're talking about wheat guys now. Looks like a great crop, but there's always issues that go along with having a great crop.
Exactly, unfortunately so. From what I've gathered, yeah, the scouts out looking at the crop say it's going to be a big wheat crop, but if we look at the markets, we know what that has caused. So, yeah, from a crop insurance perspective, you know, we kind of sit here and start thinking already about, with prices coming down, the possibility of looking at revenue claims, even though we have good yields out there. So our base price for wheat this year was $5.20. Now we're trading in that $4.50 range. So that increases guaranteed yields about 15% for producers out there. So that's something you'll want to watch if you do have some yields that are maybe on the edge. Your guarantees are about 15% higher than you thought they were going into the season.
Well, what about quality? Because quality could be an issue as we've gotten a lot of moisture the last couple of weeks.
Yes, that's the other thing too, especially on the eastern side of the state here. I know a lot of moisture here this spring. Some kind of cold, damp conditions. We always start to worry about quality issues on wheat. We dealt with that a lot last year. So if this continues, we may run into the same type of issues on the wheat crop this year. I would just encourage producers, the biggest thing on that is to stay in touch with their agent, make sure they keep them up to date with what they're finding. If you do start to find mycotoxin type issues, make sure you contact your agent, because you more than likely need to get a sample. Whether it's delivered to the elevator or put in a bin, you need to get a sample before you dump that grain so that we can use that to test for those mycotoxins and make sure we get you paid that reduction in quality.
Well, not only that, I mean, the weather's been so freaky this year. What about hail? I mean, we haven't gotten a lot of it, but we always need that coverage just in case.
Yes, and there have been pockets. I think we had a client in one area that got hail about 5 times in a couple days. So there's been a little bit of it here and there. And yeah, and that's another thing you start to worry about with wheat is have a good crop out there. We get closer to harvest, it's more and more susceptible to hail, and we're right in that season for that. So now the challenge with producers is with wheat prices the way they are, there's not a lot of margin there, and so it's difficult to look at spending that kind of money to put that coverage in place. So I would encourage producers to talk to your agent. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. As an independent agent, we work with a bunch of different companies and can find some very competitive hail rates. And in a year like this, when margins are thin, that can make a big difference in what you view as affordable to get that coverage in place.
Not only margins are thin, but everything is thin. I mean, coming in from last year, and I'm sure crop insurance is one of those things that people are negotiating this year with you guys quite a bit about.
Yeah, to an extent. You know, we're lucky that the basic crop insurance, I think most producers and bankers look at as indispensable. And that's with the subsidy levels that are in everything, that there's a very good case to be made for that. Like I said, you get into some things where sometimes you want to skimp and not spend those extra few dollars on hail insurance and things like that, which may be a prudent decision, but you're also exposing yourself to that risk of having damage out there and not having it covered.
Perfect.
So.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to finish up with Mike Scherer over at AgRisk Solutions. You're watching Kansas Ag Report. We'll see you in just a minute.
This segment brought to you by Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. Grassandgrain.com. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
Thanks for staying with us this morning. We're over at AgRisk Solutions over in Atchison. We're joined by Mike Scherer. So, Mike, again, thanks for staying with us this morning.
Thank you.
Again, it's one of those deals where we need moisture. Sometimes we get a little too much moisture, and we're talking about delayed planting. Maybe we've got some replants and some other stuff going on.
Exactly, yeah, and those conditions can sure change quick. It seems like just about a month ago, had some clients that were worried about planting corn because it was too dry. We're thinking about waiting, and hasn't stopped raining since. So here we are. It's starting to eerily feel a little bit like last year. So yeah, I start to get into issues thinking about crop issues with what is planted, standing in water, cold, damp conditions, and then of course what's not planted. So I think in general around the area, the vast majority of the corn crop is in and planted. So that's a plus. Hopefully it looks good, has its head above water. If you do see some issues out there, again, make sure you contact your agent as soon as you think you might have to replant so that they can get it inspected, and then when it dries up and you're ready to hit the field, you've got everything done. You don't need to be waiting on an adjuster. Okay. There are some beans in the ground, certainly, but a lot left to plant. So, and we still have some time. Final plant dates on beans in Kansas range from June 15th all the way up to June 30th. So still a pretty big window here to get them in the ground, but you start to realize that a few well-timed rains and we could be to June 15th before you know it. So again, if you have some issues with beans that are planted, stay in touch with your agent. Stay on top of your options as we approach those final plant dates regarding preventive planting. We ended up having a lot of clients last year that had to take preventive planting on beans. And it's not ideal, but in a year like we talked about before, when margins are thin, sometimes that can be a way better option than being out there trying to plant beans on July the 5th, depending on where you're at. So you have to watch real close and make sure you're making a prudent business decision there.
Or returning 100 bags of beans.
Exactly, yes. And those are the kind of things you have to investigate. You have to figure out from your seed dealer, what are my options? Can I return this seed or am I stuck with it? Those all affect those decisions, and that's things that we try to help our customers work through as best as we can, because there's a lot that goes into it, and it's a different situation for every producer because of that too.
Well, and last year I know I talked to several guys who got stuck with several bags of beans, hundreds of bags of beans, and they're just kind of stuck sitting on them.
Exactly, yes. Talked to a client just the other day that planted some of those already this year, so hopefully that works out.
Hail damage, hail insurance for those, and we got just about 30 seconds left here, but hail for those, get with your agent on that.
Yeah, again, we talked a little bit about the wheat. If you get a crop planted, it gets up, it's looking good. Hail and wind type coverage on corn is something to think about. As I mentioned before, try to talk to an agent who works with different companies so they can find the best rates and coverage in your areas. There can be an amazingly huge difference between premium rates across companies with hail. It's kind of shocking, really. So it's worth doing some investigating to save yourself some money.
And we want to remind everybody your website.
Yes, www.ag-risk-solutions.com.
It's good to see you, Mike.
Good to see you, Brian. Thank you.
The Kansas Soybean Association, American Soybean Association, and DuPont are seeking applicants for the Young Leader Program. For more than 30 years, it has identified and developed farmer leaders who continue to shape the future of agriculture. The program provides industry-leading training that develops participants' leadership potential while fostering collaboration among farmers throughout the United States and Canada. Young leaders benefit from a challenging and educational two-part training program. Phase 1 takes place at the DuPont Pioneer headquarters in Johnston, Iowa, November 29 through December 2. Phase 2 is February 28 through March 4 in San Antonio, Texas, in conjunction with the annual Commodity Classic Convention and Trade Show. KSA encourages applications from farmers and farm couples who want to learn about leadership, communication, and ag information and develop a strong peer network. It will work with ASA and DuPont to decide who will represent Kansas in the program, then have a seat on the KSA Board of Directors for the next 3 years. The application deadline for Kansans is September 15. More program information and the application are available at soygrowers.com/young-leader-program on the web.
This time of year, farmers are busy working in the fields and driving on the roads with their trucks, tractors, wagons, and other large pieces of equipment. To the impatient or distracted driver, these vehicles may pose a problem if safe driving practices are not observed. Slow-moving vehicle emblems may only be used for motorized vehicles designed to travel at speeds of 25 miles per hour or less on the road. Any other use is illegal. Remember not to rush when driving on roads where you might encounter large farm machinery. Slow down immediately when you see the orange SMV triangle and pass farm equipment only when it is safe for you to do so. For example, if a car is moving 55 miles per hour and comes upon a tractor moving 15 miles per hour, it only takes 5 seconds to close a gap the length of a football field between the car and the tractor. Accidents occur when motorists hurry around farm vehicles, resulting in injury or death. Large farm equipment making a left turn need extra space. They may be pulling over to the right to make a left turn. Tractors move into the center lane to avoid hitting guardrails or mailboxes that those following may not be able to see. Farmers will make every effort to accommodate motorists. Machine operators will drive on the shoulder of paved roadways whenever possible in order to give other motorists a better view of road conditions. Keep in mind that if the shoulder is soft, wet, or steep, the farmer cannot move aside because it may cause the equipment to tip. Above all, be patient, be kind, and stay behind.
This segment brought to you by Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
Spring is sprung, and Premier Farm & Home has what you need to keep your yard crabgrass free throughout the season. With a complete line of pre-emergents, you can stop crabgrass before it starts. Premier Farm & Home, 900 Southwest University Boulevard, or find them on the web at heycow.com.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
You need a partner that you can count on to be there for your business. Providing a depth of understanding to risk management issues so you don't have to. A knowledgeable support team located in your area, delivering products and services to make you more successful.
Imagine having someone help you pick the best corn hybrids for every field on your farm. Your Oldie representative can combine your data with his data to offer a field-by-field prescription. Contact Oldie Seed today at 877-692-4555.
I will take action against herbicide-resistant weeds. I will know my weeds, and I will stop them before they go to seed. I will do whatever it takes to give my crops the upper hand, and I will use multiple herbicide sites of action because every action counts. I will take action, this time for all time.
Here at Blue River Traders, we have the greatest selection of rustic and western furniture in Kansas.
At Blue River Traders, you can select from an inventory of rustic lodge or western furnishings. With a designer on hand, Blue River Traders will help create the look you desire.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Spring is sprung, and Premier Farm & Home has what you need to keep your yard crabgrass free throughout the season. With a complete line of pre-emergents, you can stop crabgrass before it starts. Premier Farm & Home, 900 Southwest University Boulevard, or find them on the web at heycow.com.
The second place live heifer placed 8th in the carcass contest to post the best combined finish at the Beef Empire Days Fed Cattle Show in Garden City. Owned by Brian Little and fed at Ersick and Dahl Feed Yard of Garden City, the 1,454-pound black heifer finished as a Choice Yield Grade 2 and won the Earl C. Brookover Memorial Award. In the steer division, the overall winner was a Charolais fed and owned by Cargill Cattle Feeders of Leota. The 1,576-pound steer placed 10th live and 3rd in the carcass contest as a Choice Yield Grade 2. Gardner Angus Ranch of Ashland owned the 1,392-pound black steer that won the Cargill Meat Solutions Overall Grand Champion Carcass Award. Fed at Triangle H, the steer was a prime Yield Grade 2. The Zoetis MGA Champion Heifer Carcass was produced by a smoky-colored entry that finished as a prime Yield Grade 2. Sure-Top Angus and Charolais fed the 1,238-pound heifer at Bar 77 Feed Yard. There were 78 steers and 43 heifers from feed yards across the High Plains entered in the show. Of the steers, 5 graded prime, 65 were choice, and 8 graded select. In the heifer division, 2 made prime, 36 were choice, and 5 graded select. Further results from the show will be included in the July issue of the Kansas Stockman.
Good morning. I'm Derek Hermish with Paragon Ag. Would now be a good time to buy cattle? I get questions like this from time to time, and my answer is always the same. That depends. It depends on what you can get them bought for, how much your cost of gain is going to be, and what the future price is trading that you can hedge against when it comes time to sell. Figure that out, then you'll have your answer. Now, if you want to wager an opinion on what cattle prices will do in the next 6 months, by all means have an opinion. But don't let that be the most important part in deciding if now is a good time to buy cattle. Funny thing about opinions is, it's human nature to remember the times you had an opinion and ended up being right about it. You do not remember as well the times you had an opinion and ended up being wrong, unless you had some equity riding on that wrong opinion. Then you'll remember. But just as time heals all wounds, you can forget how bad being wrong was once you've collected enough times in your head of being right and not correctly profiting from it. If any of that sounds familiar, congratulations, you're human. It's no coincidence human and humble both start with the same 3 letters. It's best to remain humble and embrace the unpredictability of the markets without worrying too much about right and wrong opinions. That's the start of a good marketing plan. So all that being said, ask yourself, would now be a good time to buy cattle? I'm Derek Hermish. Have a good day.
Closed captioning brought to you by The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. KansasSoybeans.org. Ag Risk Solutions. Experience, knowledge, integrity. Your crop insurance solution, Ag Risk Solutions. Kansas Wheat Commission. Leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com. Kansas Livestock Association. Supporting our members' business interests to meet consumers' demands. KLA.org.
Well, that's our show for today. I hope you'll join us each week for more news and information about agriculture in the state of Kansas. I'm Brian Holman, and thanks for watching.
Biodiesel made from sustainable resources is diversifying our fuel supply. This year, biodiesel will displace over 1 billion gallons of fossil fuel nationwide. It's making our economy stronger and our communities healthier. It's working here and across America. Get biodiesel going in your community. Visit americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
You need a partner that you can count on to be there for your business. Providing a depth of understanding to risk management issues so you don't have to. A knowledgeable support team located in your area, delivering products and services to make you more successful.
Here at Blue River Traders, we have the greatest selection of rustic and western furniture in Kansas.
At Blue River Traders, you can select from an inventory of rustic lodge or western furnishings. With a designer on hand, Blue River Traders will help create the look you desire.